Under normal circumstances, colleagues in Africa, when we greet, there is always a response. Let me try again. Colleagues, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, yeah, at least now I know I'm in Africa. So let me start, colleagues, by appreciating this opportunity that I have been given by the program director Ondake Keiza Khanyaho, one of the esteemed media gurus in the value chain and one of the powerful communicators in the environment. I really appreciate this opportunity that one has fairly been given to welcome all of you in this particular session. But at the same time, colleagues, allow me to appreciate some of the high-level colleagues that have joined us in today's session. I would like to recognize the presence, colleagues, of the Director General of the Department of Home Affairs, Ondade Tomi Makode. He is here with us, and we really welcome him into this conversation. We also like to appreciate, colleagues, the presence of the head of the Special Investigating Unit, Advocate Ndi Mutivi. I do know that sometimes we might be mentioning the name and colleagues might want to start disappearing. I think colleagues must just relax. In today's session, we have a different approach. So colleagues should not necessarily start strategically disappearing one after the other. It's not going to be in that context. Colleagues, let's also appreciate the presence of Brigadier Alexander, who is from the Directorate of Priority Crime Investigations, what we fairly know as the Hawks. We would also like to appreciate, colleagues, the presence of Madam Bonani Ntabiani from the South African Revenue Service, even driven from Pretoria to come through and be part of this session. We would also like, colleagues, to appreciate the presence of our colleagues from the Department of Correctional Services. And in this instance, we are more talking to the area commissioner in this environment, which is Ondate Nechi Swaulo. Very strategic there. I suppose my vendor has been seriously tested. Let's also appreciate, colleagues, the presence of Advocate Klepu from the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, IDAC, as you will know it. Colleagues, in our midst, we also have some of our colleagues from the labor environment or from the labor union. These are our social partners that we effectively engage with all the time. And on that basis, we want to recognize the presence of colleagues from the three main, I would say, labor unions that are interfacing with the Border Management Authority. But of course, we do know that all in all, we have over 17 or so. But for the purposes of today, we have actually 4 that we would like to acknowledge their presence. We do have the first deputy president of Pop Crew in our midst, and we really appreciate her presence. We also have the national spokesperson of SAPU in our midst, Ndateli Siva Tobahale. And by the way, the Pop Crew first deputy president is Me Muhokong. We also have the representatives, colleagues here from the PSA, together with those colleagues from Nahau. They are all welcomed in this particular conversation. Colleagues, let's also appreciate the presence of the rest of yourselves that are here. All of the colleagues representing the State Security Agency, the colleagues representing the overall South African Police Service, all of the colleagues that are part of the Beitbridge Port Management Committee, the rest of the officials that are here are all welcome in this particular occasion. We will also want to, colleagues, welcome some of the non-governmental structures that are here in our midst today. They are also welcomed. I'm also told we do have some colleagues from the media. They're also welcomed in this particular session. So colleagues, I have been given a task to do some bit of welcoming remarks, and I've been given very few minutes. So what I want to basically start by indicating, colleagues, is this is something that we fairly appreciate. This is something that had actually been almost in processing. I remember in 2023, just 2 weeks after the establishment of the Border Management Authority on the 1st of April 2023, I had a conversation with Advocate Mutibi on the basis that we needed to also have some kind of a forum for the purposes of looking at the border environment, but also looking at the broader issues of immigration. And I think one of the fundamental issues, colleagues, why do we have a forum of this nature? This particular forum, as you will know, it is called the Border Management and Immigration Anti-Corruption Forum, is to be able to enable us to have conversations with the intention of practically enlightening each other on the dangers of doing wrong things. I think that is very much fundamental. We do know, colleagues, under normal circumstances, that sometimes we basically just become reactive, where we basically celebrate having to be going to be arresting people, for instance, having to go process people through the justice system and all of those kind of realities. But sometimes some people might end up doing wrong things, but not necessarily appreciating or understanding the implications of what they are doing. So the purpose of this forum is to be able to deal with some of the issues at the proactive level, colleagues, to be able to make sure that we enlighten each other and we make people understand that sometimes it is not worth it to do things that are not necessarily awesome. So basically that is the essence. So as I do this welcome, I also want to indicate, colleagues, that we do know that next week is the International Fraud Awareness Week, which is the week that will be running from Monday the 16th until the end of that particular week. So on that basis, we had synchronized this particular session with that particular week so that we are able to make sure that we get enlightened on some of the issues. Colleagues, we are meeting here in Beitbridge. We do know that in the bigger scheme of things, there are 71 ports that we are actually operating at. But Beitbridge, as you know, is one of the biggest in the ecosystem, one of the biggest entry-exit point to the north-south corridor into the continent. And on that basis, we have chosen this particular port for the purposes of this particular awareness session. So on that basis, we just want to indicate, colleagues, that we need to make sure that we work together with the rest of the stakeholders to make sure that at least we are able to deal with possibilities where some of us end up finding themselves on the other side. We at least need to justify our hearts and ourselves so that even if in some essence or some activity, we ultimately have the Hawks visiting Beitbridge or visiting any of the other ports, to come and escort out some of the officials that might have done things that they should not have done. They should at least know that we did have this forum, we did alert to say do not do that, because it is going to be a very sad reality in that particular instance. It is for that reason, colleagues, that we have this particular session. There will be very serious conversations that are going to be taking place. There is going to be some real speakers talking about real issues. For me, I'm not going to go into the fundamental issues. Hence, my main issue is to be able to open this particular session and confirm that all of you are welcomed in this particular session. In terms of the Border Management Authority officials, I just want to indicate that having been given this responsibility of the front line in terms of dealing with the issues of border management, we need to live our own values, which is basically acronymed as VIP-PI, which effectively talks to vigilance, innovation, professionalism, patriotism, integrity, together with excellence. Those are the key values that we have adopted, and I suppose we need to live them. And in today's session, part of the purpose and the intention is to remind ourselves of some of those issues. And I do know that even in all other stakeholder organizations, they do have this kind of values. And therefore today, we are intending to remind each other on these values so that we are able to live them, as it were. Let me conclude, colleagues, by actually appreciating all of the colleagues that had actually taken time to come here. We do know that some of the leadership here have a lot of work to do, either back in Pretoria or anywhere else, but at the end of the day, they were able to come to make sure that this particular awareness session becomes a success. Otherwise, thank you very much.